My name is Emily Carter, and 3 days before last Christmas, I sat in my car in my parents' driveway for 11 minutes before I found the courage to walk inside. In my hands, I was holding 4 small gift bags, not the usual gift bags, not the ones with the gold ribbon and the tissue paper that cost more than what was inside them. These were different. These were small, cheap, almost embarrassing. Inside each one, a $2 greeting card and a single dollar store candle. That was it. That was everything. And I want you to remember that image, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why I did it, and exactly what my family did to me that made me finally snap. If you've ever felt like the giver in your family, the one who's expected to show up every single year with the biggest gift, the biggest check, the biggest sacrifice, while everyone else hands you a card and a thanks, stay until the end. Because what happened in that living room on Christmas morning changed my relationship with my family forever. And honestly, I don't regret a second of it. Let's rewind. Because to understand why I did what I did, you need to understand what 6 years of Christmas mornings had done to me. I'm the oldest of 3. My brother Jason is 24. My sister Madison is 22. I'm 27, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the responsible one, the one who got good grades, the one who got a job right out of college, the one who, according to my mother, never gave us any trouble. I used to think that was a compliment. It took me years to realize it was actually a job description. Being the responsible one didn't mean I got more freedom. It meant I got more expectations and zero appreciation. It started small. My first real job out of college, I made decent money. Nothing crazy, but enough to be comfortable. That first Christmas, I wanted to do something special for my family. I bought my dad a nice watch. I bought my mum a spa weekend. I got Jason a pair of sneakers he'd been talking about for months. And I got Madison a makeup set she'd mentioned online. I spent almost $1,200 that year. And I didn't think twice about it because I loved my family, and I wanted them to feel loved. What did I get in return? A card from my mom that said, "Love you, sweetie," and a $20 gift card to a coffee shop I don't even go to. A card from my dad with a $10 bill folded inside. Jason gave me a hoodie from the mall, the kind on the clearance rack. And Madison, bless her, gave me a candle, a $3 candle from the drugstore. I remember sitting there that night, looking at my pile of gifts compared to theirs, and feeling this tiny uncomfortable twist in my stomach. But I pushed it down. I told myself it's not about the money, it's about the thought. I told myself that a lot, over the next few years actually, because it kept happening. Every single year. Year 2, I spent even more. I'd gotten a raise, so I upgraded everything. A new phone case collection for Madison, tickets to a game for Jason, a nice bottle of perfume and a scarf for Mom, tools for Dad's garage projects. Almost $2,000 that year if you add it all up. And in return, cards. Candles, the occasional $5 Starbucks gift card. By year 3, I started noticing something else too. The expectations were growing. It wasn't just Emily gives nice gifts anymore. It became assumed, almost demanded. My mom started dropping hints in October. "Oh, Emily, you know I've had my eye on that new coffee maker." My brother stopped asking and started telling me what he wanted for his birthday and Christmas both, like I was some kind of on-call Amazon account. And here's the part that really got under my skin. When my sister Madison got engaged 2 years ago, I gave her and her fiancé an $800 gift toward their wedding fund. Do you know what she got me for my birthday that same year? A single candle. Again, another candle. I started keeping a mental list, not out of bitterness at first, just out of curiosity. I wanted to know if I was imagining things or if this pattern was real. And when I actually sat down and thought about it, I realized that over the past 5 years, I had spent close to $9,000 on gifts for my family. And in return, I had received cumulatively maybe $300 worth of gifts, mostly candles, mostly cards, mostly leftover clearance items. $9,000 versus $300. And nobody in my family seemed to see anything wrong with that, because to them it wasn't unfair, it was just how things were. Emily gives, everyone else receives. That was my role in the family, whether I'd agreed to it or not. This year, the year I'm telling you about, things reached a whole new level. It started in early November when my mom called me, and after the usual small talk, she casually mentioned that she'd seen the most gorgeous diamond necklace at a jewelry store downtown. She sent me a photo. I looked it up later, $1,400. I laughed it off at the time. I said something like, "Wow, Mom, that's beautiful," and changed the subject, thinking it was just her admiring something the way people do. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, my dad brought up wine. Now, my dad has always liked wine. Nothing crazy, usually a $15 or $20 bottle for dinner. But this year, He started talking about a specific bottle he'd tried at a work dinner. A bottle that, when I looked it up, cost $220. He mentioned it 3 separate times over 2 phone calls, each time a little more directly. You know, Emily, that bottle really was something special. I'd love to have one of my own sometime. Then Jason, my brother, wanted the newest gaming console, the limited edition one that was sold out almost everywhere, and reselling online for $600, because apparently the standard version wasn't good enough this year. And finally Madison. Madison wanted the newest iPhone, not a hand-me-down, not a refurbished one, the brand new model, top storage in the color she wanted. Over $1,000 with the case and accessories she'd also mentioned. Let me add that up for you because I did the math myself, sitting at my kitchen table one night in early December, staring at my phone with a growing knot in my chest. A $1,400 necklace, a $220 bottle of wine, a $600 gaming console, a $1,000 iPhone. That's over $3,000 for 4 gifts for one Christmas. And I want to be clear about something because I know some of you watching might be thinking, well, Emily, maybe you're just well off. Maybe this is normal for your family's income level. I promise you, it wasn't. I work a normal job. I don't come from money. I had been saving carefully for 2 years toward a down payment on a small condo because I was tired of renting, tired of feeling like I was throwing money away every month. I had almost $11,000 saved. It had taken me 2 years of skipping vacations, packing my lunch every day, saying no to nights out with friends, and my family expected me to hand over more than a quarter of what I'd saved in a single month for gifts that, historically, had never once been reciprocated with anything close to equal value. That's when something in me finally shifted. I didn't decide right away to do what I ended up doing. At first, I actually tried to talk to my mom about it. I called her in early December and gently, very gently, brought up the idea of maybe scaling things back this year. I said something like, "Mom, things are tight for me right now. I'm saving for a place of my own. Maybe we could do a Secret Santa this year instead of everyone buying for everyone." Her response is something I will never forget. She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "Oh, Emily, don't be dramatic. You always do this and then you always come through. You're good at picking gifts, sweetie. Just do what you always do." I tried again with my dad a few days later. I mentioned that the wine he wanted was pretty expensive, and maybe I could get him something else this year. He got quiet for a second and then said, "Well, I guess I'll just have to buy it myself then, since apparently nobody in this family thinks I deserve nice things." Guilt. Instant guilt deployed like a weapon, the same way it had been deployed on me my entire life. I tried Jason. He didn't even really respond. Just sent back a laughing emoji and said, "You'll figure it out, you always do, sis." At that point, something clicked into place for me. It wasn't going to change. Asking nicely wasn't going to change it. Hinting wasn't going to change it. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was simply how my family saw me. Not as a daughter or a sister they loved and reciprocated with. As a resource, an ATM with a pulse. So I made a decision, and once I made it, I felt strangely calm. Calmer than I'd felt in weeks. I decided that this year I was going to give them exactly what they had given me. Every single year for the past 6 years. A $2 card, a $1 candle. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I would mirror their own gift back to them, precisely, so there could be no argument about different budgets or different circumstances. I would give them the literal equivalent of what they had always given me. I went to the dollar store 2 days before Christmas. I picked out 4 cards, cute ones actually, nothing mean-spirited about the cards themselves, and 4 small candles, different scents for each person. I wrote something heartfelt in each card, because despite everything I did still love my family, and I wasn't doing this out of hatred. I was doing it to finally, for the first time in my adult life, set a boundary they couldn't misunderstand. I spent $12 total. $12 after years of thousands. And then I drove to my parents' house for Christmas morning, sat in the driveway for 11 minutes, and finally walked inside. The house smelled like cinnamon and coffee, the same way it always did. My mom had the fireplace going. My dad was in his recliner in his Christmas sweater, the one he's worn every year since I was a kid. Jason was sprawled on the couch on his phone. Madison was curled up in the armchair, already talking about brunch plans later. For a moment it almost felt normal. Warm even, I almost second-guessed myself. Almost. We did the usual routine, coffee, small talk, my mom fussing over the ham in the oven, and then, like clockwork, we moved into the living room to open gifts. I want to paint the scene for you, because the order in which things happened matters. My mom opened her gift first, since she insisted, as always, on going first. She opened the small bag, pulled out the card, glanced at it, then pulled out the candle. There was a pause. A confused, almost comedic pause, where she just kind of stared at it like she was waiting for something else to appear. "Is this it?" she asked, half laughing like it had to be a joke. I said calmly, "Yep, that's it." She set it down on the coffee table, still smiling that tight, confused smile, clearly assuming there was a bigger gift coming later, maybe hidden somewhere, maybe a surprise. Then my dad opened his, same thing, card candle. He didn't say anything right away. He just looked at it, then looked at me, then back at it, then Jason. He tore into his gift bag, expecting, I think, at minimum a gift card for the new console, if not the console itself, when he pulled out a $2 birthday card, not even Christmas-themed, because that's genuinely all they had left at the store, and a candle that smelled like fresh linen. His face changed completely. "Wait, seriously? This is a joke, right?" he said, looking around at everyone else like he needed backup. And then Madison, expecting her brand new iPhone, opened her small bag, saw the card and the candle, and just went completely silent. Her jaw actually dropped a little. She looked up at me, and for a second I thought maybe, just maybe, she understood. She didn't. "Emily, what is this?" she said. "Where's my actual gift?" I took a breath. I had rehearsed this moment in my head at least a dozen times over the past 2 days, and even so, my heart was pounding. "That is your actual gift," I said. "That's what all of you have given me every single Christmas for the past 6 years. I just thought this year I'd return the favor." The room went dead silent for about 3 seconds. And then it exploded. My mother was the first to speak, and her voice had already climbed into that sharp, wounded tone I knew all too well. "Emily, that is incredibly petty. You're comparing a candle to what we've given you our whole lives. Our love, our home, everything we've done raising you." "Mom," I said, trying to stay calm, "I'm not talking about raising me. I'm talking about the last 6 Christmases. I keep track. I spent over $9,000 on gifts for this family since I started working. I received back around $300. That's not an opinion, that's math." "Oh, here we go," Jason cut in, sitting up straight now, his face red. "Miss Perfect pulling out spreadsheets on Christmas morning. It's not that deep, Emily. Nobody asked you to spend that much. That's on you. That one stung, because there was a sliver of truth buried in it, but it ignored everything else. Nobody asked me to spend that much, but everybody expected it. Jason, you literally asked me for a $600 gaming console this year. You didn't ask if I could afford it. You told me what to buy you, because you always come through." He snapped. "That's not my fault, that's just who you are." My dad, who had been quiet, finally spoke, and his voice had that low, disappointed tone that used to make me shrink when I was a kid. It didn't hurt the same way anymore, but it still hurt. "I have to say, Emily, I'm disappointed in you. This is beneath you, embarrassing us like this on Christmas in front of the family over gifts. We raised you better than this." "You didn't raise me to stand up for myself, apparently," I said, and I felt my voice shake, but I kept going, because every time I've tried to bring this up gently, I got laughed at, guilt-tripped, or ignored. I tried talking to Mom about this 3 weeks ago. I told her things were tight for me this year. "Do you remember what you said, Mom?" My mom's face flashed. She didn't answer. "You told me not to be dramatic," I continued. "You told me I always come through. Well, I decided not to come through this year, because I'm not a bank, I'm not Santa Claus. I'm your daughter, and I wanted just once to be treated like one instead of like a resource." Madison, who had been quiet, staring at her candle like it had personally offended her, suddenly looked up with tears in her eyes. But they weren't sad tears, they were angry ones. "So this whole time you've been keeping score? That's so toxic, Emily. Family isn't supposed to be transactional." And that word, transactional, coming from the sister I had given $800 to for her wedding fund, in exchange for a single candle, almost made me laugh out loud. "You're right," I said. "Family shouldn't be transactional. So maybe next year, don't ask me for a $1,000 phone and then call me transactional when I finally say no." This is the part of the story that I didn't expect, and honestly, the part that hurt the most. In the middle of all this shouting, my phone buzzed. A group text notification popped up on the screen, visible for just a second before I turned it face down. But Jason saw it, and because everyone was already worked up, he grabbed it before I could stop him. It was a group chat, one I wasn't supposed to see, a family group chat without me in it, that Jason had apparently forgotten was still open on a shared tablet my parents used. The one sitting right there on the coffee table. The messages went back for months. My mother complaining to Madison about how she always felt a little guilty spending my gift money, but figured Emily doesn't mind, she likes to feel important. My father joking with Jason that Emily was an easy touch and that they should let her keep thinking it's about love, easier that way. Madison at one point writing, honestly kind of annoying how she acts like her gifts are so generous, like we're supposed to be grateful every year lol. I stood there in that living room, reading messages from my own family calling me an easy touch, calling my generosity a joke, mocking the exact thing they had spent 6 years quietly demanding from me. The room went silent again, but this time it wasn't confusion. It was the silence of people who had just been caught. Emily, that's taken out of context, my mom said quickly, her voice suddenly much smaller than it had been 30 seconds earlier. Is it? I asked. Because it looks pretty clear to me. You all knew exactly what you were doing. You knew I was stretching myself thin every year, and instead of appreciating it, you laughed about it behind my back and asked for more. Nobody had an answer for that. Not really. My dad opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but nothing came out. Jason just stared at the tablet in his hands like it had betrayed him. Madison had gone completely pale. I picked up my coat. I think I'm going to head out, I said. I hope you all enjoy the candles. I want to be honest with you about what happened over the next few weeks, because this isn't one of those stories where everything gets neatly resolved with a group hug by New Year's. For the first 10 days there was silence, total silence, no calls, no texts, nothing. I'll admit it was hard. Even though I knew I had done the right thing, some small part of me kept waiting for my phone to buzz with an apology. It didn't come from where I expected. It was Madison who reached out first about 2 weeks into January. She sent a long text, longer than anything she'd ever sent me before, apologizing, saying she'd been thinking about that group chat every single day since Christmas, and that reading her own words back had made her feel sick. She admitted that she'd never really thought about how one-sided things had become. She said she was embarrassed, and that she wanted to actually get to know me as a person again, not just as the sister who buys nice gifts. I appreciated that. It felt real. My dad called about 3 weeks later. It was a short, somewhat stiff conversation, but he did say the words, "I'm sorry," which if you knew my dad you'd know is almost as rare as a solar eclipse. He said he'd been raised to think that providing financially was the main way you show love, and that he never really thought about how unfair it was for that expectation to fall entirely on me. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was honest, and I could tell it cost him something to say it. My mom took the longest, almost 2 months, and even then her apology was complicated. She admitted she'd handled things poorly, and that the comment in the group chat was wrong, but she also, in the same conversation, mentioned that she still thought the candle stunt, as she called it, was a little extreme. Old habits, I've learned, don't disappear overnight, even when people genuinely want to change. Jason, if I'm being fully honest with you, still hasn't fully apologized. He's been a little more low-key around me, a little less demanding. He hasn't asked me for anything since, which honestly feels like its own kind of apology, in his own limited way. But we haven't had a real conversation about it. Some relationships take longer to repair than others. And I've had to make peace with the fact that Jason might just need more time, or might never fully get there. Here's what I want you to take away from this, if you've made it this far. I didn't do what I did out of spite, even though I know it probably looked that way in the moment. I did it because I had spent 6 years teaching my family, without meaning to, that my love had a dollar sign attached to it, and that I would keep paying it no matter how little I got back. Sometimes the people who love us the most, genuinely, in their own flawed way, can still take advantage of us, not because they're evil, but because we let them, quietly, year after year, until it becomes the norm, and the only way to break that pattern is to do something that finally makes the imbalance impossible to ignore. That Christmas morning cost me $12 in cards and candles, but it saved me thousands of dollars in years to come, and more importantly, it saved me from a lifetime of feeling unseen in my own family. I still bought my niece, Madison's daughter, who was born this past spring, a beautiful gift for her first Christmas. Because kindness, real kindness, isn't something I want to lose, but it's kindness with boundaries now. Kindness that doesn't come at the cost of my own future, my own savings, my own self-respect. By the way, 6 months after that Christmas, I closed on my condo, the one I'd been saving for. I sat in my new living room on move-in day, no fireplace yet, boxes everywhere, and I lit one of those dollar store candles I'd bought as a joke. I'd kept one for myself, if I'm honest, and I remember thinking that it smelled a whole lot better than $3,000 worth of guilt ever did. If this story hit close to home for you, if you've ever felt like the giver in your family who never gets anything back, I want you to know something. Setting a boundary doesn't make you petty, it doesn't make you ungrateful. Sometimes it's the only language that finally gets heard. Thank you for watching. If you want to hear what happened the following Christmas, because, trust me, that story deserves its own video, Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.